You are watching CIOTV by Enterprise IT World, a production of Accent Info Media.
Good morning and welcome everyone to the show. In this series of leadership discussions, today we are speaking with Dr. Jitendra M Bhardwaj. He is the Chief Information Security Officer at Tata Advanced Systems Limited. He's also heading the cybersecurity business. And Tata Advanced Systems Limited is, or TISL as it is called, is focused on aerospace and heavy engineering systems. And Dr. Bharadwaj, in his career of more than 30 years in the IT industry, has worked in a range of technologies, and he has interesting perspectives and insights on emerging technologies. So let's get going and welcome Dr. Bharadwaj to the show. And so how are you doing today, sir?
Thank you so much, Balaka. I'm doing fine. How are you?
I'm good, sir. Thank you so much. It's such a pleasure speaking with you. And all your interactions, engagements are very insightful. So I'm looking forward to a discussion. So one of the things that's been playing on my mind and, which a lot of our viewers would also be interested in is quantum computing. There's been a lot of discussion about it. So could you tell us briefly about what it entails, what exactly is quantum computing, and how do you see it going forward in terms of its impact in the industry?
Thank you so much, Balaka. I agree with you. There's a lot of interest around quantum computing recently, which we see. So let's discuss what the quantum computing is. In the normal computing, we use bit, which is 0 and 1. When we talk about and is the electrical signal, either it is 0 or 1. And they hold the information either 0 or 1 at a one point of a time. When we talk about quantum, it is something different. It is talking about the subparticle level. So when we say subparticle level, when we say the unit is qubit, QUBIT at that point of a time in the quantum computing. So let's understand we got 0 and 1, but when we say about quantum computing, 0 and 1 can be exist together at one state, and it can be multiple state. So what we are saying right now is that you can hold multiple information in a single basically qubit, and that's what basically gives an advantage over the normal bit calculation. So when we look at the bit and the computing, which is normal 0 and 1, if you increase the processing, you increase the bit. But in the qubit, when you have the 1 to 2 qubit, it is a multi-dimensional. So it is like we had a 2-dimensional picture, and then we got 3-dimensional, and then 4-dimensional. So you get a depth to it, and you get more features to it. So since the quantum computing is a different way of basically computing, they have a different algorithm compared to the normal, computing which we use in our laptop, mobile, or desktop, or any computing process which is there. Like for example, I'll give an example. The Google has in 2019 or so. I'm talking about just the qubit part which have been there. Okay, they I think shown that even if it's the 2 qubit, okay, and so that has got a power and that can solve the problem within a minute. Okay, computational problem compared to a normal basically computing system which can take 10,000 years. And we've only gone to 128 qubit right now. We're not gone beyond that. So there's a lot of work which is going on this area. Of course, it is not a new technology. It's been started. The work started in 1980s and 90s. Okay, at that point of a time, and a lot of large corporations are working on it. IBM has taken a lead on this, but Google is working on it. Microsoft is working on it because this will change the paradigm. Okay, how we compute the problem, complex problem. Look at the other side. Over the years, when the computers has come and we talk about the digital technology is 0 and 1. When we talk about, we are seeing a lot of data right now around us. Okay, and the data is, when we talk about the big data, it is the variety of the data. In the initial 1780s, it was only in the Excel sheets, or not the Excel sheet, but on the tables which have been there. Now we see a structured data, which is in the rows and column. We see the unstructured data, okay, which is in the Word. We have the pictures. Okay, we got a voice notes. Look at all this data which have been there. Now you need to process the data and create information. You need to increase your computing power. There will be time which will come that all this data which we generate and the speed which we generate, okay, is tremendous right now, exponential speed. So variety of data, the speed of data. When we look at all these things and the volume of the data, we call it big data, I think, in our digital technologies. How to process that? The quantum technology, when we use these kind of systems, which are their quantum computers, this is still in the labs, okay? In fact, IBM wanted to come out something in the next year or so. Google also wanted 2025. So there most of the organizations are putting plan there. But when it comes out, they can solve problem in minutes, which we look at the complex algorithm, which may take years to basically address those problems because they're multi-dimensional, which are there. So that's why you see a lot of basically interest around quantum computing. On the one hand, we are seeing AI, which is looking at the data and try to generate something. On the other hand, we are looking at the quantum computing because the processing power will go multifold. Okay. However, having said that, this is still in the labs because when we talk about quantum computing hardware, okay, this will not be a normal hardware. There are special conditions which are required. Okay. It is to be so when we talk about quantum, we are talking about photon and electrons. Okay. Those are helping us basically to generate the data or generating the result out of it. So you need to have a zero atmospheric pressure. It is to be at the sub-zero level. So you need to have a special kind of basically computers which are there, which the companies are working on right now. Okay, but the end result is the same. So
can we pause here because there's a question that's playing on my mind. So you mentioned earlier in your when you were explaining what quantum computing is about. So one of the things you said, it facilitates, from 2D to 3D kind of imaging. So some of the emerging technologies now, such as, metaverse, such as 3D printing, how are these things connected with quantum? Is it like, are we already, leveraging different kinds of technologies that are supporting these that are coming into play? And because quantum computing, like you say, is still in the labs. So how are these technologies playing out?
So metaverse, when you talk about 3D printing and the metaverse is different from the quantum computing. Those technologies are still working on the digital technology 0 and 1, the bit side, which will be there. Okay. When you talk about the quantum, it is to solve a complex algorithms. Okay. The algorithm written is different. Metaverse is giving you an AR and a VR experience, augmented reality and the virtual reality when we talk about it. So when we say the virtual reality, in the sense you create that kind of environment. Okay. So this is using the normal computing, the digital computing 0 and 1.
Okay.
It is not an application of the quantum computing. Quantum computing is right now, applications of the quantum computing will come in the financial sector. It will come in the basically cyber security at some point of a time. Because what I can do for example, in the financial sector, if you wanted to look at the patterns, the transactions which are happening in the big banks, okay, you need to look at all this transaction, make a meaningful, information around it. So quantum computer can do those kind of basically processing at one go. Otherwise, if you want to do the processing, it will take a year.
More on the processing part, quantum computing, yes. Whereas AR, VR, and metaverse is more on the experience side. So
and you will see the use case of the when we talk about the basically metaverse is more on the consumer side, B2B2C. Okay, these are more B2B application because these are expensive computers. As I told you, I think you need a different environment to build those kind of things. Of course, they are sealed one, but you need to build a different environment for that. As of now, it is not in production, so cost is very high. Of course, there's one company in China will say they can offer 50,000 rupees a desktop on the quantum computing. But that is still to be tested. Okay. But the thing is that if you look at the other organization, they're still saying it is expensive to build those kind of computing power. So just to give an example, these are two different things. This is on the consumer side, this is on the B2B side.
I see. Okay, got it. So where do you see, quantum computing actually making a difference in the business side?
As of now, we see a lot of potential in the quantum computing. Okay, when I say the industry is seeing potential, as I mentioned to you, financial sector, which is the one area where you will see a lot of use of the quantum computing going forward. Why? Because it is a financial transaction. And please understand now, financial institutes are not limited to a geographical spread. It is not a bank which is in India or in US or in Europe. The banks are basically now, for example, are interconnected. That is one. I'll give you an example. State Bank of India in India.
Yes.
They have got their own ATMs. But you can go to any ATMs. You can go to Access Bank ATM. You can still do the transaction on the, SBI basically account. You can withdraw the money. Isn't it? Okay. So it is all interconnected. That is one. And it is also connected to globally. Now it is only not the banking transaction. It is the UPI which you added on that in India, which is there. So look at the complexity. So there is a usage. Healthcare. Healthcare is another area, okay, where you wanted to basically have the huge computing power to understand and look at the DNA research which is there. That is second.
Yeah, definitely.
Cyber security is another area where you wanted to secure system.
I
Right
see.
now, how to break the basically any algorithm, basically any of the algorithm for that matter. So this is the third area. So you will see most of the organization putting focus, and banking is the one area, banking and healthcare. If you look at the market data, they're the biggest spender on the IT.
Right.
The balance sheet of any organization. Okay, their top vertical will be the banking and the healthcare, and then the manufacturing. Okay, so you will see a lot of investment, and I think there are a lot of large organizations putting investment in those kind of a quantum computing. They are with the market and the Gartner and everybody say that you will see something in the 2030. I think next 5 to 7 years you will see a lot of business application, and once the technology get mature, sometime you got the unintended, basically use case of that technology for that. Okay. So I think so that is something which we will see when it comes. But right now, I think as it is, so there's a lot of focus by this large organization. In fact, there is a report by Gartner. It says that 40% of the the Forbes 100 companies will be having one or the other quantum computing use case in the next 5 years.
Correct.
Okay. So because that's how it is. I mean, the more the data, more the processing power you need to have on the simpler terms.
So what comes to mind is, I mean, obviously as it comes to the market as a niche technology, it's going to be very expensive. And one of the things that we are seeing now with the way technology is unfolding is, everything is being offered as a service, as a platform. So obviously quantum computing, will soon be coming to the market. And once it comes, it may be a premium service, but soon it will be a democratized way, it will be accessible and available. So, say public cloud, I mean, I'm sure will be, that's the way to go, and that's how it will be available. So, when you draw the extension, obviously it will require huge processing power, a lot of infrastructure, a lot of power, and in the process, a lot of also, gas emissions. So how parallelly, how is the data center industry and infrastructure evolving, and how are they equipped to be, coping up with these sort of new services? Like, what are your thoughts on that?
A very interesting question, and I think you touch upon a pertinent point. The IT industry per se is moving from the product to the services. You look at the Microsoft now; they're offering everything on the cloud. They're not on-prem, and I think that's how you can basically reduce the total cost of ownership. Otherwise, if somebody wanted to acquire quantum computer, I think it's very expensive. So I think we want to check in that. Now, coming to the, I think, main point on the data center side. When we look at any data center, public cloud, I'm talking about. And when you say public cloud, you need to set up a data center, huge data center, which can offer the services. So on one hand, it is giving ease to the consumer. You can basically rent, or you can operate on basically your computing power, whatever you need it. But what is the other side? The data center organization which are building the data center, they're facing certain challenges. We are hearing a lot of sustainability. Okay, I think each organization is focusing on the sustainability, because as a country, we got basically a target on the sustainability and the carbon neutral and the other goals which are there on the green IT goals which are there. Whereas when we build so much of a compute power, it generates a lot of heat. There was an article sometime back in the news where Google has been asked that how much water you have been using to cool your data centers.
Correct.
And now look at that water scarcity happening across the globe. It is not happening anywhere. It is across the globe. We see the drinkable water is getting less and less. So how to basically do that thing? On one hand, you're using the water to basically cool off the data centers. So there's a question on that. Now, when we look at all these things, so there are a lot of things which are happening, which if you see most of the data centers, the one trend which you're seeing, they're looking at the green IT, how they can basically do carbon zero. So one of the experiment which I saw, and I think I saw a YouTube video on that, and then I read about it. Microsoft has started putting a data center under the sea, because this is an interesting experiment, and I think Google is also going to go into that. They started this experiment in 2015 or 16 in the Microsoft. Very interesting experiment. They say they will have basically a bunker kind of a system. They will seal all the data center, servers and everything computing, and they'll put under the sea. And they had, I forgot the name of this experiment, but it's under the Scotland Sea. They put in the undersea. Now, what advantage it gives? Couple of advantages. One, the 115 feet or something, I think the depth which have been there, it is already cold, so that you don't require. So water is not required. Portable water is not required. That is one. Second,
water, yes.
That is one which is there. Then the heat dissipation. So amount of money you spend to cool a basically data center, that goes away. That is one. Second is a sealed data center. Okay. It is built to operate for next 10 to 15 years. Okay. So the maintenance and other aspect is also taken care of that. That is second piece. And third is basically you see a lot of our internet infrastructure is undersea cables which are there. Okay? So you can take the advantage of that, and you can build near the basically shore, and it will have a less emission on the gas.
Right. Near shore is having a real different meaning now. Near shore.
So I think that is the one area where they're moving right now. Second is they are not using the normal conventional energy sources. Okay, they are looking at the solar power. They are looking at the wind power. Basically,
or maybe even the energy from the sea itself, perhaps.
Energy from the sea itself, So there's a various energy source they're looking into that. The data center, if you look at that. So I think there's a direction they're moving right now, because more and more, if you build a bigger data center, they will generate more emission. The heat will be there. It will going to impact the climate also. So those are, I think, changes which data center industry is doing. I think they're coping up well. If you talk to anybody, they'll do that. This kind of thing.
Yeah, that's a very interesting concept. Taking it right into the water and on the seabed. That's very interesting. I'll have to read up more on it. But as you were saying, another thought occurred to me. Now we are going under the sea so that we are going to reduce emissions, and we are going to get natural cooling. But still, don't you think there's going to be emissions? There are going to be heating because the servers are going to emit heat. So we are introducing artificial heating into the system. So even that is going to perhaps cause if a lot of data centers are going to migrate en masse into the scene, it's going to cause disturbances in the natural systems again, isn't it?
That's a very valid point. But each technology has got a curve. Okay, that is there. So as of now, we are facing challenges on the ground. Okay, on the earth, and we are seeing looking at that. Okay, it has not been explored. I think it will take to some time before we see some impact. The concept is just started. I think it will take another 10 to 20 or 25 years.
I see.
Because the adoption is to be there. How we're going to do that thing, and this can normally be happening on the places which are near to the sea and which are conducive in nature. But having said that, I think there is still time to go for that. And no technology, each technology got a pros and cons, to be honest. Okay, there's nothing which is all good. There's nothing which is all bad, which is there. So right now, I think this is going to address to a certain
extent,
which have been there.
When we will have to.
And then I think when it comes, then we'll see how it goes. Maybe I think we'll go into space. We don't know.
Right. I think that is where it is evolving. We'll have, and I hope to God not that we abandon this planet and we design or reach a stage where we all have to evacuate this beautiful planet. But anyway, another thing that comes to mind as more and more computing and connectivity comes, these connectivity as we see now is a threat to this is cyber security, cyber breaches, a lot of criminal activity, and God forbid, even there could be terrorist activities via this. Of course, a lot of thefts and a lot of, damages on the personal front, and also ransomware is taking place. So can you throw some light on, with the advent of AI, the way we are using AI to do cybersecurity? Similarly, those technologies are also, accessible to bad elements in the society. So how is this balancing out? What are the trends you see here?
As we see all these digital technologies, and I think as we are discussing in the initial part, a lot of data is now available on the digital platform, when it's a social platform. Okay.
Yes.
We got email, we got a Facebook, we got Twitter, now it is called X. Okay. And the other Instagram, and I think every day there's a new application which comes. So we are moving our basically information from the paper to basically digital.
Okay.
And the attack surface is getting increased day by day.
Mhm.
And this COVID has also added to it. The moment the COVID happened, the work from home happened, people start moving from the office to home. They
Yes.
start using the personal devices for the official purpose. So the more we move to digital, the more the cybersecurity threats are
Yes.
there. And
Yes.
we
The attack
notice, I think,
surface is
attacks
expanding
have increased because I think,
significantly.
and after COVID, I think 2020, you will see that there's an exponential growth in the cyber attacks. In
Yeah.
fact, one of my previous organization in January 2020,
Yes.
before the COVID happened, we used to have around 800, attempts on our domain, and it was a fairly old domain.
I
And
see.
come March, when the COVID happened, in the
Yes.
May, when we look at, guess how many attacks are happening on our domain? It is 1.5 million, from 800 per month to
Right.
1.5 million attacks
Mhm.
per month. See the
Right.
exponential rise which have been there.
Exponential, yeah.
Certainly,
These
ransomware.
attacks are also automated, I suppose, right?
Yes.
You're putting some bots to do these attacks. Yeah. Right.
Yeah. There's a bots which have been there. Or see what happened the moment you go to work from home. If you got access to your mobile, we can access to your official data, because in the same mobile there your official email. So there are various reasons for that,
Right.
and you can more vulnerable. Please understand, when we come to office, being a CISO, I see day in day out.
Yeah.
You are alert. There are a lot of controls within the organization, but we are home. I'll give a very interesting example. Okay, this is my not this company, previous company. Uh, I was talking. One of my employees was at home, working at home, and he
Yeah.
was complaining that my bandwidth is not sufficient. I'm not able to do my official work.
I see.
So one of my, level one engineer was talking to him. I said, okay, let me talk to that person. I talked to that my employee who is sitting at somewhere in the India remote place. I say, why you say that the network for the organization to your home is not working properly? Okay, why the bandwidth? So he say very innocently, I'm watching Netflix right now,
Oh.
and I can see Netflix clearly, but when I connect my laptop to the office, it is not working. Man, please switch off the Netflix because it is taking a lot of bandwidth. And using the same bandwidth, okay, same broadband which have been there. So
Right.
coming back to
And
this,
he
I think,
innocently also has exposed himself to so much more attacks because
so
simultaneously playing so many applications in the public sphere.
that is 1 second. I think we see normally when somebody come and install broadband router at home, I think the same password continue for years. Nobody changed their password on the
Yeah.
Gmail because they simply forget or whatever reason.
Yeah.
So
Even
what?
we don't even change the password when it's come and installed.
Yeah.
Normally use the same
And
one. Yeah.
so what it gives basically, so now the data, and I think you all hear that the data is oil, data is gold, because if you can access to the data, then you can basically access to the people identity. I think recently government has also come out with the PDP in India. It is in the Europe already, GDPR and other laws which are there, but India also the private privacy bill which has come. So what happened basically, you need to protect your data. The more and more data is on the web which is there, because we see a lot of online services. When we look at all these things, so again, there's a lot of data which is there for the both end, for the attacker and for the defense also. AI become a very, very important piece. Any attack which happen normally in the organization, if you can detect, we call it incident management or incident response.
I see.
The moment somebody get into your system, you have a few seconds to respond to that. If you're not able to respond at that point of a time, basically this malware is spread horizontally within your organization. So, for example, 1,000 people, it will go to multiple people. If you not have the VLAN kind of a network on the same network, it will basically flow horizontally, and it will elevate their privileges. If you're a normal user, it will elevate to the admin user, and then it start extending the data and sending outside. It's the normal way, I think, any of a basic attacker works. So the moment it is similar to somebody gets into your home, a thief comes to your home, you had a very few seconds to respond to it. Okay, you need to block that gate, you need to block that code, and look at what is happening. It is where the AI comes into the picture. The human response normally takes time. Now, by the time you get this information, and every organization got their own SOP, L1 will tell L2, level 2, level 3, then it goes to the CISO. The attack is spread in your organization and they take data from that. Now, if you got a AI in your response, okay, artificial intelligence built in, so they will respond quickly. The moment it comes, you define the SOP or the playbook, If you see this kind of abnormal activity, you just respond to it.
Yeah.
Of course, you can communicate to the respective person, but you take action. That is one.
Yes.
Second, you can also see the patterns. What is happening in your organization? Based on the patterns, you can also find if there's something suspicious activity within the insider. In fact, most of the threats in the cybersecurity is from the insider. People are the weakest link. You will hear that. You can put all the tools and processes, but if the internally people compromise something, share their password or compromise, then it's going to create an issue which
Right.
So I think going forward, you will see a lot of basically AI and the ML, machine learning. AI is of course a combination of machine learning and the NLP, which is there, natural language processing. A lot of use of the AI in the response, on the cyber response, which will be there. Of course, the other side of it, attackers also use this kind of a thing because they're also scraping your data from across all the sites, and they're also making sense what password you use. Based on that, they predict your password and they try to get into your system. So that is the other side which have been there. But I'm saying from the organization, the user perspective, AI is going to be, the major tool going forward. And that's why if you see most of the tools which are coming right now in the cybersecurity tools, they will say they got an AI capability because they need to learn from themselves. Because otherwise, the scenario is changing, threat landscape is changing so fast. New threats are coming up. By the time you understand the threat and your team basically implement that, there's a lag. And you are vulnerable during that point of a time.
So so there's continuous monitoring, and there is like a detection of any anomalous activity. So you can raise the flag and possibly take a proactive action in terms of perhaps maybe shutting out access to that particular port or that particular activity that's going on, and then maybe raise the escalate it internally. Okay, that's great. But another concern that comes to my mind is, is that injection of malicious code into, say, an algorithm itself, where your algorithm is because it's self-learning. Once you infect it, it goes on giving you wrong outputs without you even realizing it. So can you tell me a little bit more about it? It's a very curious thing, and because going forward, everything is going to be algorithm written in terms of, because that's going to spur organizational activity in terms of which direction to take, in terms of business operations. And that can have really far-reaching consequences.
Very valid point, I think. And I think very interesting point. One of the airline in the India, I will not name the airline.
I see.
Back, you have seen in the newspaper, they a lot of passenger data was leaked. Okay. And very interestingly, what happened, a particular gentleman was working in this company in the software development. He put the malicious code and left that company. And he put the timer on that code. So after 6 months of his leaving, the code get activated, and then he start talking to a IP outside on the organization. It established a connection, and then he started, I think, taking all the data from the inside to outside. Now here the AI comes in picture, or the basically a security operation center, or the help them. If there's a huge data which is going from one PC of the organization to some IP which is a rogue IP or any IP outside the organization, they should have detected at some point of a time. Okay. Now, so I think this threat is real. What you're talking about, it is not a hypothetical threat where you get a malicious code within a code. And that's why if you look at that, whenever any application is built right now, most of the organization, they got an application security testing done. Okay. And they, until unless you certified that there's no malicious code in this. Okay. So there are two ways which happen. One, you have the normal software development, which use the commercial software like Microsoft, Java, any other commercial software, code software. Sometimes you see in the open source, where what the software developer does, they pick up the code from the open source library, which is openly available. Now, most of the organization ask, even if the developer use the open source software, have they done the vulnerability assessment on those codes? Or there is a vulnerability scan has happened on those codes. Okay, security testing is done on that. Because until you get this certificate, most of the organization nowadays doesn't put this software into the production. Production means on the commercial use. Okay, for that. So that is a one way to do it.
Testing and assurance services have become very important now.
So it is the security testing. I'm saying the application security testing. One is the testing is from the functionality part or scalability or the regression I'm talking about. This is the security testing. And embedded. You must have heard about CI/CD, continuous integration,
DevOps and DevSecOps.
So yeah, very right thing. I think you already know it. So
Yeah.
it was DevOps. Now it is called DevSecOps.
Yeah.
Okay. So there is a component which has been embedded. In fact, going forward, you will see, security embedded in everything. Okay. In everything, in the sense, everything we touch right now.
Right.
Okay. Application is one part.
Yeah.
Imagine a situation I was reading. This is not in this context. I was reading an article, very interesting. We got all these cars which are there.
Yes.
And the internet connected right now.
Yes.
And when it is internet connected means it hears our voice command. And if the mic is on, they hear continuously what we talk about. They don't respond you back because you don't take your name, for example, until you say Alexa, it doesn't respond.
Yes.
But it is hearing your commands and processing those commands. Okay.
Yeah.
And that leads to a security complication in future. And because they're continuously processing those kind of commands. Okay. They're not responding back to you. So nowadays, I think if you see the other area which is happening with having this NLP technology is getting more and more powerful.
Yes.
We got Alexa, we got Siri, and when you go to your cars, you got the voice commands which are there, which translate, they understand and they respond back to you kind of this thing. That is another challenge going to happen in the near future. Okay, where they hear you and they process your basically commands, but they're not responding back to you. But there's some database which is there, and if that has been accessed by the hackers, they can access to your conversation which are happening within the car also. And there's an article recently come, and it's a very interesting article which is there. So more and more digital technology which we use, okay, of course, the cyber threats are increasing manifold accordingly. And because the data is there, and on one hand, we say data is gold, data is oil. So, of course, somebody is going to steal them.
Yes, because that is valuable. Yes.
And that's where cybersecurity comes into the picture.
Yes. Actually, you see these movies where they talk about, where they show these rogue robots, they don't listen to the human command, and you cannot stop it because it goes on, a rampage doing things that they want. So I think this discussion on ethics and AI is very valid. And, there was this call also, on ethics of AI. I think that's a conversation that is not just now. I think it became very much more prevalent after, the launch of OpenAI's ChatGPT. But I think that's a conversation that needs to be an ongoing conversation, so that, we are all the time alert about the ethics of it, whether it is, in terms of how do you embed regulations, how do you keep a check on algorithms. It's a very important conversation, isn't it?
Yeah, see, you're very correct. In fact, this is a very thin line. Okay.
Yes.
And when you use technology, I'll give an example. Basically, AI is, of course, there's an ethic issue in the AI because we got two kind of AI. One is the weak AI, another is a basically strong AI. Weak means like we got a Siri or Alexa kind of example where they are only doing the tasks which you told them and they are processing those commands.
Yes.
When you say strong AI, they will have a capability to. That's the actual AI when we talk about, which is still to come basically, and this is the most worrisome, where they understand and they can reason. Okay, the algorithm can reason themselves. Okay, and then they learn basically, and they reason, and then they give you a response back to you. We are seeing right now generative AI, where basically it is not only the input and the output and processing the data. Okay, because generative AI is also learning. Like through generative AI, you have seen you can create the pictures which are there, and ChatGPT, which you heard about it.
Yeah.
They understand from every 4 or 5 sources, and then they give their own view to it. Okay, but the ethics comes into the picture anyway, because when you look at the human element, human has been born and brought up, the values and the moral has been embedded in them from the moment they're born.
Yes.
Okay. So whenever they take any decision, although they process the data, it is not only the processing the data, there is a value also added to that, which is still far way to go in the AI. That is one. Okay. Second, look at any technology. Face recognition, a great technology, isn't it? When you wanted to capture the criminals or thieves which are in there, but it also infringes your privacy.
Yes.
Okay, they are taking your picture without knowing you. You got a CCTV across the country. I think in the US, in the Western San Francisco, there is a law which they say that you can't use those kind of face recognition. Okay, on the CCTV camera which have been there. So whenever you use any technology, similarly, I'll come to the personalization. I'm sure you would have seen that if you go to the website and search from Delhi to Goa, the moment you do that, I think you start getting ads accordingly.
Yes.
This is also your private, it is your
invasion of privacy. Yes.
privacy to certain extent which have been there. And that's why if you see a lot of privacy bill which are coming right now, okay, what it asking that any company or the organization, when they take your data, they need to tell you what they are going to use with that. Okay. And they have right to basically get it deleted at some point of a time when you say it is not visible, which have been there. So on one hand, this technology are giving this kind of a scare to us. They get into this line which have been there. On the other hand, I think the government and the other organizations are also building the laws to govern that thing. But I think this is always be a fight where it goes basically what is the advantage, what is the disadvantage. So ethic issue is a very, very real issue in the AI, because right now we start using AI to basically, address the business situation, to do the work faster. Okay, the computing power is so much. We need to do somebody to do the repetitive work. For example, in the cyber I talked about, we see any attack, so immediately you need to block that IP. Okay, you need to inform, take action on this thing. Instead of having a human taking it 10 hours, okay, or 4 hours to process kind of thing, you do it in the seconds which have been there, and you protect your organization. But the more power you give, if they start doing the reasoning, it is not covered with the moral and the values of the human, behavior which have been there. It is going to have an impact some point of time. So you're very right. But of course, at that point of time, you will have either certain laws or you'll create something around it. Nobody knows, because it is a evolving area right now, to be honest. Okay. And some of this technology are given by the business compulsion also. So I think let's wait and see how it happens. But yeah, of course, this threat is real. I agree with you on this thing.
On that note, Dr. Bhardwaj, thank you so much. It's such a pleasure speaking with you. It's always interesting and a lot of insights. And we'll keep our conversations offline and keep learning from you. Thank you very much for giving us the time. I'm sure our viewers are going to enjoy listening to this conversation. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Balaka. Thank you so much.